Alright, guess who? It is Smikket here. Today we are going to be talking about while loops. And, in the last couple of videos we've talked about control structures and how they can alter the flow of our program. Well, now we're getting into looping structures. So let's talk about these guys and what they're good for. We're going to learn how to code them, we're going to learn exactly what they're doing and why they're so important. Alright guys, so with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. So before I do anything, I want to go ahead and draw out what exactly a looping structure is. I'm going to show you the diagram of a while loop, okay? So I'm going to draw this arrow down right here, and this is just going to represent our compiler reading through our code, okay? So we would have, include IOStream using namespace standard, all that within this arrow, and it's going to come to a while loop expression, okay? And it's going to be a lot like the expressions we've learned about earlier, as in, it's saying something like x is greater than or equal to 5, okay? And so while our expression is true, it's going to be coming over here to the right, and it's going to come to some sort of statement, whatever kind of code we want written there. So for now, I'll just write statement. And after this statement is done, and it's run through all the code that we decided to put in that statement, it's going to come and loop back around to the expression. And each time it's going to evaluate the expression, and if it's still true, it'll go to the statement, and it's going to come back. But the key to making this so this doesn't happen infinitely and your program just gets stuck is to have something in the statement right here that makes this expression false. And if it's going to be false, that's the key to getting out and continuing with the program. Okay, and so once the expression turns false, the program can go ahead and get along with its life, and we'll just have whatever the rest of the code is come through here until the program terminates. So that is basically how a while loop works. Let's go ahead and put one in code, and then I'll come back and we'll look at this and link it all together, just so the concept is really clear. Alright, so the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to start out by just defining int x, and it's going to equal 5. And then I will start writing my while loop. So it's while with some parentheses, and I'll put while x equals 5 in there. And then you're going to want squiggly brackets. One here to close it off. And I'm going to cout, enter a number that isn't 5, okay? And then I will let them enter a number for x so they can change the value of x. And then down here is going to be where our program ends. And when we get to the end, I want to know that we got to the end. So I'm going to cout program ending right there. Okay, so let's go ahead and run this and see what happens. So looks like we came through here, it read int x equals 5, came to the while loop, it saw that x does equal 5, and it came in there and then output this to the screen. So now it wants me to input something for x. So what if I went against the rules and put 5 again? Well, it reevaluates, it comes back to the while loop, and it sees, well, x is still 5. And it's going to do that over and over and over and over again until we enter a number that isn't 5. So let's go ahead and enter 1. Alright, and there we see that it came through the while loop. Program ending is what it printed out right before it hit that return 0, and the program terminated. So let me go ahead and parallel this with what I drew out in the diagram earlier. But before that, I just want to give you guys a few quick tips. Number 1, whenever you're running a program like this, you're going through that loop, sometimes you won't know what's wrong and you'll get stuck in that loop, and you want to come back and edit something in your program. Well, you always want to come to this button in the console. See this red little box right here? You always want to hit terminate if you're going to go back and edit your code, because otherwise there's still going to be an executable file running on your computer. It's not going to be gone. So when you try to run it again, it'll come into conflict with the code that's already executing, And a lot of people run into that error when they get into coding with while loops. So go ahead and be cautious of that. Also, I look at my code and I notice that it looks a little bit messy. So one really cool thing you can do is come up here to source, format, and all I did was hit the button and it automatically formatted my code, put some indentations there, just so it looks a little bit nicer. Always really important in the programming world when it comes to sharing your code and readability. Okay guys, so anyways, yeah, let's go ahead and parallel the diagram with this code. Alright, so if you remember, this arrow right here represents, just our compiler reading through the code. So it's gonna read this first, then this, it'll get to int main, it'll read this. So it's like an arrow just reading through the program. It's gonna get to the expression, and in this case, this is the expression I'm talking about. X equals 5. And in this case, because x does equal 5, it's true, so it's gonna go to the statement, okay? True is going to the statement. And in this statement, we are reevaluating x. I'm saying enter a number that isn't 5, and then getting input for x. So we're reevaluating, and as long as x still equals 5, when we do whatever we're doing in the statement, it's gonna loop back. So it'll come back and do the statement all over again. So once we do go ahead and break out of the statement by saying x equals something that's not 5, it's gonna continue reading through the program, and it's gonna come to program ending, and eventually it will terminate when it hits return 0. That is the basic of while loops. If you're interested in the next video, I'm gonna go ahead and just write a program. I'll speed up the video so it's not as slow, and you can see a more complex program based on a while loop where I average 5 test scores altogether. Okay guys, thanks a lot for watching. Go ahead and hit that like button if you enjoyed it, if it was informative. Have an awesome day.